The crash of the Barzan slave ship near Seattle unleashes a chain of events that will change Earth forever. As the massive vessel plummets from the sky, its emergency systems blare to life, broadcasting a distress signal across the quiet Washington forest. The ship's hull splinters on impact, scattering escape pods like seeds across the landscape. Peter Tucker, a 32-year-old former Navy SEAL turned forest ranger, responds to the unusual alert. His radio crackles with confused chatter from local authorities as he navigates his truck through dense underbrush toward the crash site. The forest opens to reveal a scene of devastation: twisted metal, scorched earth, and dozens of gleaming pods strewn amid the trees. Approaching the nearest pod, Peter's training kicks in. He scans for threats, noting the alien design of the craft. With a hiss, the pod cracks open. Inside, a stunningly beautiful woman with violet skin and iridescent hair stares up at him with pleading eyes. "Please, free us," she begs in perfect English. "I am Tara. We are Barzan slaves. Free us and we offer pleasure for life." Peter's mind reels. Aliens. Slaves. His gaze sweeps the crash site, taking in the scale of the situation. Hundreds, maybe thousands of pods. And in the distance, movement near the main ship, armed figures emerging from the wreckage. Tara grips his arm. "The slavers survived. They will recapture us. Please, you must act quickly." Decision time. Peter's jaw clenches as he weighs his options. He can't leave these women to their fate, but freeing them risks interstellar conflict. The potential for violence looms as the Barzan slavers regroup, arming themselves with strange weapons. "How long have you been watching Earth?" Peter asks, helping Tara from the pod. "Centuries," she replies. "We know your languages, your cultures. Many of us possess knowledge and abilities that could greatly benefit humanity." To demonstrate, Tara places her hand on a gash on Peter's forearm. The wound closes instantly, leaving unmarked skin. The stakes crystallize in Peter's mind. If he can liberate these Barzan females and integrate them into human society, it could catalyze unprecedented advancement for Earth. But failure means losing a potential alliance with peaceful Barzans and risking interstellar war. Peter activates his radio, alerting his ranger colleagues and local law enforcement. "This is Ranger Tucker. We have a first contact situation with a crashed alien vessel. Multiple civilians in need of assistance. Approach with caution. Potential hostile forces on site." He turns to Tara. "Let's get your people out of these pods. Can you show me how to open them?" As they work to free the Barzan women, Peter's mind races. How will humanity react to this revelation? Can Earth governments handle first contact without escalating to conflict? And what of the promises made by these grateful aliens? One thing is certain. The arrival of these alien slave girls marks a turning point in human history. And Peter Tucker stands at the center of it all, racing against time to secure a brighter future for both species. Peter's mind raced as he helped Tara from the pod, her violet skin shimmering in the dappled forest light. The enormity of the situation hit him. Thousands of alien women, hunted by their captors, now looking to him for salvation. "We need to move fast," Peter said, scanning the crash site. "Can you show me how to open the other pods?" Tara nodded, her iridescent hair catching the sunlight. "Of course, the mechanism is simple, but requires strength." They hurried to the nearest pod, Tara's graceful movements belying the urgency of their task. She pointed to a recessed panel near the top of the egg-shaped container. "Press here and slide upward," she instructed. Peter complied, muscles straining as he forced the panel open. With a hiss of escaping air, the pod split down the middle, revealing another Barzan woman. "I am Zara," the new arrival said, blinking as she adjusted to the light. "Thank you for freeing me." As Peter helped Zara from the pod, Tara was already moving to the next one. They fell into a rhythm, working quickly to release as many Barzans as possible. The forest came alive with movement and soft voices as more aliens emerged. Peter couldn't help but notice their striking beauty, each unique yet all possessing an otherworldly allure that made his heart race. As they worked, Peter used his satellite phone to call for backup. "This is Ranger Tucker. We have a first contact situation with multiple civilian aliens in need of assistance. Approach with caution. Potential hostile forces on site." He turned back to the task at hand, marveling at the diversity of the Barzan women. One, introducing herself as Lyra, immediately began examining the local plant life with fascination. Another, Vela, manipulated small objects with apparent telekinesis. "Each of us has unique abilities," Tara explained, noting Peter's amazement. "We were bred and trained for various purposes." Peter's eyebrows furrowed at the implication, but he pushed aside his anger to focus on the immediate threat. "We need to prepare for the slavers. They'll be coming for you." As if on cue, the crack of energy weapons split the air. Peter's military instincts kicked in as he assessed their position. "Tara, keep freeing your people. I'll set up a defensive line," he ordered, retrieving his rifle from his nearby truck. Using fallen logs and the natural contours of the land, Peter quickly established a makeshift perimeter. He positioned himself behind a large tree, rifle at the ready. The first of the slavers appeared at the edge of the clearing, hulking, reptilian creatures with scales that gleamed like polished metal. Peter fired a warning shot, the crack of his rifle echoing through the trees. The aliens ducked for cover, returning fire with their energy weapons. Bolts of crackling blue light slammed into trees and earth around Peter's position. "Peter!" Tara's voice cut through the chaos. She approached, crouching low to avoid the energy blasts. "We have an idea that might help." She explained the Barzan pheromones, their potential to disorient the slavers. Peter nodded, hope rising in his chest. "Do it," he said. "I'll keep them busy." Tara sprinted back to the group of freed Barzans, her lithe form weaving between cover. Peter returned his attention to the firefight, squeezing off carefully aimed shots to keep the slavers pinned down. Minutes later, a sweet, intoxicating scent filled the air. Peter felt a moment of dizziness before his body adjusted. He watched in amazement as several of the attacking aliens stumbled, their movements becoming erratic. But not all of them. A group of slavers, seemingly immune to the pheromones, pressed forward with deadly intent. Peter's rifle cracked again and again as he picked off the advancing aliens. But they were getting closer, and he was running low on ammunition. Suddenly, a bolt of energy struck the tree next to him, showering him with splinters. Peter felt a sharp pain in his arm as a piece of wood sliced his skin. Before he could react, Tara was at his side. She placed her hand on the wound, and Peter watched in amazement as the cut sealed itself, leaving only unmarked skin. "Thank you," he breathed, their eyes meeting for a moment. The moment was broken by another volley of energy fire. Peter turned back to the fight, his mind racing to find a solution before they were overwhelmed. The sound of approaching sirens cut through the chaos. Backup was almost here, but would it be enough? And how would they handle this unprecedented situation? As Peter fired another shot, he knew the next few minutes would determine not just their fate, but potentially the future of human-alien relations. With Tara by his side and the freed Barzans behind him, he steeled himself for whatever came next. Peter's mind raced as he fired another shot, the acrid smell of gunpowder mixing with the sweet Barzan pheromones. The initial tactic had only partially succeeded, leaving them still vulnerable to the advancing slavers. He knew they needed a more comprehensive strategy to protect the freed Barzans and neutralize the threat. Turning to Tara, he said, "We need to use every advantage we have. Can you gather the strongest and most agile of your people? We're going to set up some defenses." Tara nodded, her violet skin glistening with exertion. "Of course, we'll do whatever it takes." As Tara rallied a group of capable Barzan females, Peter quickly assessed their resources. His ranger equipment, the dense forest around them, and the unique abilities of the aliens could all be put to use. "Follow me," Peter instructed, leading the group deeper into the woods. "We're going to create a series of traps and barriers." Working swiftly, they began transforming the forest into a defensive stronghold. Peter showed them how to dig shallow pits, covering them with a layer of leaves and branches. They used fallen trees to create makeshift barricades, weaving vines through the gaps to strengthen them. "Tara, help me with this," Peter called, unspooling a length of ranger rope. Together they created a network of tripwires, barely visible among the underbrush. As they worked, Peter spotted Zara examining one of the intact escape pods. An idea struck him. "Zara, you mentioned you were a propulsion expert, right?" She looked up, her eyes bright with understanding. You want me to disable the remaining pods in the main ship's engines? Peter nodded. If you can, we can't risk them escaping with any recaptured Barzans. Zara set to work immediately, her fingers dancing over alien control panels with practiced ease. Nearby, Lyra was intently studying the local flora. Peter approached her, curious. What are you thinking? These plants, Lyra explained, holding up a vibrant leaf. They have properties similar to compounds in our own biology. I believe I can synthesize a more potent version of our pheromone. It might be effective against the resistant slavers. Do it, Peter said, impressed by her quick thinking. As the preparations continued, a group of slavers broke through their initial defenses. Peter's SEAL training kicked in as he engaged them in hand-to-hand combat. His fist connected with scaly flesh, each blow precise and powerful. To his surprise, Tara and several other Barzan females joined the fray. Their strength and agility were remarkable, matching the slavers blow for blow. Together they managed to repel the attackers, but Peter knew it was only the first wave. In a brief moment of respite, Peter found himself behind a fallen tree with Tara. Their eyes met, the intensity of the situation igniting something between them. Without thinking, Peter pulled her close, their lips meeting in a passionate kiss. For a heartbeat, the chaos around them faded away. But reality quickly reasserted itself. They pulled apart, both slightly breathless. We should get back, Peter said, his voice rough. Tara nodded, her eyes still locked on his. Yes, we should. As they rejoined the others, Vela approached with Peter's satellite phone in hand. I have an idea, she said, her eyes gleaming with excitement. With some modifications, we could turn this into a localized EMP device. It would disable their energy weapons. Peter's eyebrows shot up. That's brilliant. How quickly can you do it? Give me 10 minutes, Vela replied, already starting to work. As Vela tinkered with the phone, Peter heard the ominous sound of approaching slavers. He positioned himself at the edge of their makeshift fortifications, rifle at the ready. The forest erupted in chaos as the main force of slavers emerged. Peter activated the improvised EMP device, watching with satisfaction as the aliens' weapons sputtered and died. Now! Peter shouted, leading the charge. The battle was fierce and chaotic. Peter coordinated their efforts, his military experience proving invaluable. Tara rallied the Barzan females, her leadership keeping them organized and determined. They used every advantage they had created. Slavers stumbled into hidden pits, tripped over camouflaged wires, and found themselves cornered by cleverly placed barriers. The Barzan females fought with surprising skill, their strength and agility more than a match for their former captors. In the midst of the fighting, Lyra appeared with a makeshift dispenser. The enhanced pheromone is ready, she called out. As the potent mixture filled the air, many of the remaining slavers began to stumble, their movements becoming uncoordinated and slow. The tide of battle turned decisively in their favor. Just as victory seemed within reach, Peter heard the distant thrum of helicopter rotors. Help had arrived, but with it came a new set of challenges. Peter turned to Tara, his expression grave. We need to decide how to handle this. The situation just got a lot more complicated. Tara nodded, understanding the implications. What do you suggest? As the helicopters drew closer, Peter's mind raced through possibilities. The encounter between humans and Barzans was about to expand beyond their small group, with potential consequences that could reshape both their worlds. We need to control the narrative, Peter said, his voice low and urgent. If we're not careful, this could turn into a diplomatic nightmare. Or worse. Together they began to formulate a plan, knowing that their next actions would be crucial in shaping the future of human-Barzan relations. The immediate threat of the slavers had been neutralized, but an even greater challenge now loomed on the horizon. Horizon. Peter took a deep breath, steeling himself for the challenges ahead. Tara, we need to act fast, he said, his voice low and urgent. Those helicopters are likely carrying government agents. We need to present a united front and control the narrative. Tara nodded, her violet eyes glinting with willpower. Agreed. What's the plan? I'll act as the liaison between your people and the incoming forces, Peter explained quickly. You gather the Barzans and keep them calm. We need to show them we're not a threat. As Tara moved swiftly to organize her people, Peter could hear the helicopters growing louder. He quickly assessed their makeshift camp, ensuring the subdued slavers were securely contained and out of sight. The sound of rotors filled the air as 3 black helicopters descended into a nearby clearing. Peter stepped forward, his posture straight and confident despite the chaos of the past hours. He watched as a team of heavily armed agents in tactical gear emerged, led by a stern-faced man in a dark suit. "I'm Forest Ranger Peter Tucker," he called out, hands raised to show he was unarmed. "Former Navy SEAL, we have a first contact situation here with peaceful aliens. The hostiles have been neutralized." The man in the suit approached, his hand resting on his holstered weapon. "Special Agent Marcus Collins, FBI. Care to explain what the hell is going on here, Ranger Tucker?" Peter took a deep breath and launched into a concise explanation of the events that had unfolded. He emphasized the Barzan's peaceful intentions and the potential benefits of cooperation. As he spoke, he could see Agent Collins's expression shift from skepticism to cautious interest. "I'd like you to meet someone," Peter said, gesturing towards the group of Barzans. "Tara, could you come here, please?" Tara approached gracefully, her otherworldly beauty causing a visible stir among the FBI agents. Peter introduced her as the Barzan leader, watching carefully as Collins's eyes widened in surprise. "Agent Collins," Tara said, her voice melodious and calm. "We come in peace and hope to establish friendly relations with your people." Before Collins could respond, one of his agents stumbled, clutching his arm where a stray piece of shrapnel from the earlier firefight had struck him. Without hesitation, Tara moved to his side. "May I?" she asked, her hand hovering over the wound. The agent looked to Collins, who gave a hesitant nod. Tara placed her palm on the injury, and a soft glow emanated from her skin. Within seconds, the wound closed, leaving unmarked flesh behind. The agent stared in amazement, flexing his newly healed arm. This display of goodwill seemed to break the tension. Collins's posture relaxed slightly, and he turned to Peter with newfound respect. "All right, Ranger Tucker, let's talk details. What do you propose we do with the hostiles?" Peter gestured towards the disabled alien ship. "We can use their vessel as a temporary holding facility. It'll allow us to contain the situation while protecting the freed Barzans." As they discussed logistics, Peter noticed a group of civilians in lab coats approaching from one of the helicopters. Scientists eager to study the alien technology and biology. He caught Tara's eye, silently communicating the need to establish boundaries. "Agent Collins," Peter said, "we're open to scientific cooperation, but we need to ensure the Barzan's rights and safety are protected. Any studies or examinations should be voluntary and conducted with full transparency." Collins nodded, seeming to appreciate Peter's foresight. "Agreed. I'll make sure my team understands the sensitive nature of this situation." As the impromptu camp buzzed with activity, Peter noticed Collins speaking urgently into a satellite phone. Within minutes, a large screen was set up and a secure video conference established with high-ranking government officials. Peter found himself facing the stern visages of the Secretary of State and the President's National Security Advisor. Taking a deep breath, he began to present their case for peaceful integration and technological cooperation between humans and Barzans. Throughout the negotiations, Peter was acutely aware of Tara's presence beside him. Their shared experience in managing this crisis had forged a deep connection between them. In the brief moments between discussions, their eyes would meet, conveying unspoken emotions and a growing attraction. As night fell, the forest clearing was transformed into a bustling base camp. Floodlights illuminated the area, casting long shadows among the trees. Peter worked tirelessly with the human authorities to ensure the Barzan females were comfortable and protected, while Tara used this time to educate her people about human customs and behavior. In a quiet moment, Peter found himself standing at the edge of the camp, gazing up at the star-filled sky. Tara approached silently, her presence a comforting warmth at his side. "Your world is beautiful," she murmured, her eyes reflecting the starlight. Peter turned to her, struck once again by her otherworldly allure. "It has its moments," he said softly, his hand brushing against hers. Their fingers intertwined, and for a brief instant, the weight of their responsibilities faded away. Peter leaned in, drawn by an irresistible force, his lips meeting Tara's in a tender kiss. The moment was broken by the sound of approaching footsteps. They pulled apart reluctantly as Agent Collins appeared, his face grave. "Tucker, we've got a situation," Collins said urgently. "Our deep space monitoring network just picked up a Barzan distress signal in orbit. It looks like more ships might be on their way." Peter's mind raced with the implications. He glanced at Tara, seeing his own mix of excitement and apprehension mirrored in her eyes. The delicate balance they had worked so hard to achieve was about to be tested once again. As the camp erupted into a flurry of activity, Peter knew that the challenges ahead would push him to his limits. But with Tara by his side and the fate of two civilizations hanging in the balance, he was ready to face whatever came next. Peter's mind raced with the implications of Collins's news. The detection of a Barzan distress signal in orbit changed everything. He turned to Tara, their eyes meeting in silent understanding. "We need to act fast," Peter said, his voice low and urgent. "If more ships are coming, we have to be prepared." Tara nodded, her violet eyes reflecting the gravity of the situation. "Agreed. We must prevent any misunderstandings that could lead to conflict." They hurried back to the command center, where Agent Collins was already coordinating with government officials via secure video link. The makeshift camp buzzed with renewed activity as news of the potential arrival spread. Peter, Tara, and Collins joined the emergency meeting, their faces illuminated by the glow of multiple screens. The Secretary of State's voice crackled through the speakers. "We need a plan, and we need it now. Any suggestions?" Peter leaned forward, his military training kicking in. "We propose establishing a joint human Barzan task force. Tara and I can act as liaisons, bridging the gap between our species." The idea was met with murmurs of approval. As the details were hammered out, Peter couldn't help but notice the way Tara's shoulders brushed against his, a subtle reminder of their growing connection. With the task force approved, they wasted no time. Peter led a team to the crashed alien ship, intent on salvaging any technology that could help them communicate with the incoming Barzan fleet. Inside the ship, Peter and Tara worked side by side, their movements in sync as they carefully extracted components from the alien consoles. Their fingers brushed as they reached for the same piece of equipment, sending a jolt of electricity through Peter's body. "Sorry," he mumbled, trying to focus on the task at hand. Tara smiled, her eyes twinkling. "No need to apologize, Peter. We work well together." Back at the camp, Earth's top engineers and scientists had assembled, ready to integrate the alien technology into their systems. Peter watched in awe as Tara explained the intricacies of Barzan communication arrays, her knowledge far surpassing that of the human experts. Days blurred together as they worked tirelessly to develop a communication system capable of intercepting and decoding Barzan transmissions. Peter found himself constantly amazed by Tara's brilliance and adaptability. Finally, after countless hours of work, they succeeded. The new array hummed to life, filling the air with a soft, otherworldly glow. Peter held his breath as they initiated the first scan. Suddenly, the speakers crackled with an alien language. Tara's eyes widened as she translated, "It's a Barzan rescue fleet. They believe we're in danger and are coming to save us." Peter's heart raced. "We need to send a message back, let them know the situation is under control." But before they could act, a heated argument broke out among the human officials. Some argued for full disclosure, while others advocated for a more cautious approach. Peter stepped in, his voice calm but authoritative. "We need to be transparent. If we want to build trust, we can't start with deception." His words seemed to resonate, and a consensus was reached. They would send a joint human Barzan delegation into orbit to meet the incoming fleet and negotiate peacefully. As preparations for the orbital mission began, Peter found himself juggling multiple responsibilities. He mediated disputes between human officials concerned about sharing advanced technology and those worried about potential health risks from prolonged human-Barzan interaction. Amidst the chaos, Peter couldn't help but notice the growing integration of Barzan females into human society. Zara and Lyra in particular had begun working closely with human scientists, their combined knowledge leading to remarkable breakthroughs. One evening, as Peter reviewed the latest propulsion system designs, he felt a familiar presence behind him. Tara placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch sending warmth through his body. "You should rest," she said softly. "We have a long day of training tomorrow." Peter nodded, suddenly aware of his exhaustion. As they walked together under the starlit sky, he marveled at how natural it felt to be by her side. The next few weeks were a blur of intense preparation. Peter and Tara spent countless hours in simulators, their bodies floating in artificial zero gravity as they practiced diplomatic scenarios and emergency procedures. During one particularly grueling session, the simulator malfunctioned, sending them spinning in the enclosed space. As Peter reached out to stabilize Tara, their bodies pressed together in the confines of the pod. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Their lips met in a passionate kiss, years of tension finally breaking. As they pulled apart, breathless, Peter knew that everything had changed. "Tara, he began, but she placed a finger on his lips. "I know," she whispered, her eyes shining. "We'll figure this out together." Their newfound intimacy added a layer of complexity to their already challenging mission. As they continued their preparations, Peter found himself stealing glances at Tara, marveling at her grace and strength. However, their relationship faced an unexpected challenge when Vela, another Barzan female, began showing a clear interest in Peter. He noticed her lingering looks and frequent attempts to work closely with him. One day, as Peter was calibrating the communication array, Vela approached him. "Peter," she said, her voice melodious, "I was hoping we could discuss the mission parameters in private." Before Peter could respond, Tara appeared at his side, her presence both comforting and protective. "I believe we were scheduled to review those together, Vela," she said, her tone polite but firm. Peter could feel the tension between the two Barzan women. He knew he would need to address this situation delicately to maintain harmony within the team. As the launch date approached, the pressure intensified. Peter's muscles ached from the rigorous training, and his mind raced with the countless details they needed to manage. The night before the launch, Peter found himself unable to sleep. He wandered out to the edge of the camp, gazing up at the stars that would soon be much closer. Tara joined him, her hand finding his in the darkness. "Are you ready?" she asked softly. Peter took a deep breath, feeling the weight of their responsibility. "As ready as I'll ever be," he replied, squeezing her hand. Suddenly, an alarm blared through the camp. Peter's body tensed, years of military training kicking in. "Stay close," he told Tara as they raced back towards the command center. They arrived to find chaos. A group of human extremists had breached the perimeter, intent on sabotaging the mission. Peter's mind raced as he assessed the situation, formulating a plan. "Tara, can you use your abilities to disable their weapons?" he asked quickly. She nodded, her eyes glowing with willpower. As Peter engaged the intruders in hand-to-hand combat, Tara moved swiftly through the shadows, her touch rendering the attackers' weapons useless. Working in perfect synchronization, they neutralized the threat. As the last attacker fell, Peter and Tara stood back to back, breathing heavily. "Nice work," Peter said, a grin spreading across his face despite the seriousness of the situation. Tara smiled back, her violet eyes sparkling. "We do make quite a team." As they helped secure the captured extremists, Peter received an urgent message from intelligence. His blood ran cold as he read the report, suggesting that not all members of the incoming Barzan fleet might be friendly. He pulled Tara aside, his voice low. "We may have slave traders mixed in with the rescue fleet. This mission just got a lot more complicated." Tara's expression hardened. "Then we'll need to be even more vigilant. We can't let them exploit Earth as they did our world." As the sun rose on launch day, Peter and Tara stood before the specially modified spacecraft that would carry them into orbit. The sleek vessel gleamed in the morning light, a testament to the incredible collaboration between humans and Barzans. Peter took a deep breath, feeling the weight of their mission. As he looked at Tara, he saw his own mix of perseverance and apprehension mirrored in her eyes. "Ready?" he asked, extending his hand. Tara took it, her grip firm and reassuring. "Always." Together they boarded the spacecraft, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them in the depths of space. As the launch sequence initiated, Peter closed his eyes, silently hoping that their efforts would be enough to secure a peaceful future for both their peoples. The engines roared to life, and Peter felt the familiar push of acceleration. As Earth fell away beneath them, he knew that the real test was just beginning. Whatever lay ahead, he was grateful to have Tara by his side. The engines roared to life, and Peter felt the familiar push of acceleration. As Earth fell away beneath them, he knew that the real test was just beginning. Whatever lay ahead, he was grateful to have Tara by his side. As they ascended into Earth's orbit, Peter's heart raced with anticipation. The spacecraft's interior hummed with energy, both from the advanced propulsion systems and the palpable tension among the crew. Tara sat beside him, her violet eyes fixed on the instrument panel, monitoring their ascent. Approaching designated rendezvous coordinates, Agent Collins announced from his station. Prepare to initiate contact. Peter nodded, taking a deep breath to steady his nerves. He glanced at Tara, who gave him a reassuring smile. Together, they activated the newly integrated Barzan communication array. The view screen flickered to life, revealing the face of Admiral Zorn, commander of the approaching Barzan fleet. His expression was a mix of surprise and wariness as he took in the sight of humans and Barzans working side by side. "This is unexpected," Admiral Zorn said, his deep voice resonating through the spacecraft's speakers. "Explain yourselves." Peter leaned forward, his voice calm and measured. "Admiral Zorn, I'm Peter Tucker, representing Earth. We've come to inform you that the situation on our planet is under control. The Barzan females who crash-landed have been safely integrated into our society." Tara stepped into view, her presence commanding attention. "Admiral, I am Tara, one of the liberated Barzans. I can assure you that we are not in danger. In fact, we've found great potential for mutual benefits between our species." As they continued their explanation, Peter's trained eye caught unusual movement among the Barzan fleet. He discreetly activated the long-range scanners, his suspicions growing as he identified several ships with configurations matching known slave trader vessels. Leaning close to Tara, he whispered, "We've got potential hostiles, slave traders mixed in with the rescue fleet." Tara's eyes widened slightly, but she maintained her composure as she continued addressing Admiral Zorn. Peter subtly alerted Agent Collins to the developing situation. Suddenly, a group of ships broke formation, accelerating towards Earth. Admiral Zorn's face contorted in anger and surprise. "Betrayers," he growled. "Those are slave trader ships. They seek to bypass our negotiations." Peter's military instincts kicked in. "Admiral, we need to stop them. Will you help us?" Zorn nodded grimly. "Indeed, these criminals dishonor our people. We shall engage them together." The space around them erupted into chaos as ships maneuvered into attack positions. Peter took control of the weapon systems, his fingers dancing across the console with practiced precision. Tara worked beside him, her intimate knowledge of Barzan technology allowing her to enhance their ship's capabilities beyond what the human engineers had thought possible. "Evasive maneuvers," Peter called out as enemy fire streaked past their viewport. He returned fire, his shots striking a slave trader ship with pinpoint accuracy. Tara's hands glowed with energy as she manipulated their shield systems. "Peter, I'm redirecting power to the forward deflectors. It should give us an edge in the next exchange." Their ship moved as if it were an extension of their combined will. Peter and Tara anticipated each other's actions without need for words, creating a seamless dance of offense and defense. Admiral Zorn's voice came through the comms, tinged with admiration. "Impressive teamwork. Perhaps there is more to this alliance than I first believed." As they engaged in a series of high-stakes maneuvers, Peter noticed one of the slave trader ships slipping past their defenses. "They're making a run for Earth," he shouted. Without hesitation, Peter pushed their engines to maximum thrust, giving chase. Tara placed her hand on the ship's power core, her eyes glowing as she channeled her energy manipulation skills. "I'm boosting our output. We can catch them." Their ship streaked through space, closing the gap with the fleeing slave traders. As they entered Earth's upper atmosphere, Peter's hands tightened on the controls. The slave trader vessel loomed large in their viewport. "This is Commander Peter Tucker," he broadcast on all frequencies. "Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded." The response came in the form of weapons fire. Peter skillfully evaded the barrage, maneuvering their ship into a better position. The slave trader captain's voice crackled through the comms, filled with desperation. "Back off, or we'll crash this ship into your cities." Peter's mind raced, considering their options. He turned to Tara, an unspoken plan forming between them. "Can you use your energy manipulation to disrupt their systems?" Tara nodded, her expression determined. "I can try, but it's risky. We'll need to get closer." "Then that's what we'll do," Peter said, his voice steady despite the danger. As they closed in on the slave trader ship, enemy fire intensified. A lucky shot breached their hull, and alarms blared throughout the cabin. Peter felt the sudden pull of decompression, his body lifting from his seat. In a heartbeat, he was airborne, hurtling towards the breach. "Peter!" Tara cried out. With lightning-fast reflexes, she launched herself across the cabin. Her enhanced strength and agility allowed her to grab Peter's arm just as he was about to be sucked out into the atmosphere. Their eyes met, a moment of connection amidst the chaos. With a powerful pull, Tara brought Peter back to safety. They clung to each other, hearts pounding in unison. "Thank you," Peter breathed, the reality of his near-death experience sinking in. Tara's violet eyes shimmered with emotion. "Always," she replied softly. The moment passed quickly as they refocused on their mission. Working together, they initiated their plan to disable the slave trader ship. Tara channeled her energy into their weapon systems, modifying the output to target the enemy's propulsion without destroying the vessel. Peter's expert piloting brought them into the perfect position. "Now, Tara!" A pulse of energy shot from their ship, enveloping the slave trader vessel. Its engines sputtered and died, leaving it drifting helplessly in the upper atmosphere. As the immediate threat subsided, Peter and Tara returned to orbit to assist Admiral Zorn in neutralizing the remaining hostile ships. The combined human-Barzan force moved with newfound synergy, quickly overwhelming the outmatched slave traders. In the aftermath of the battle, Admiral Zorn's face appeared on their view screen once more. His expression had softened, replaced by one of respect and curiosity. "You have shown great courage and skill," he said. "Perhaps it is time we discuss the future of human-Barzan relations more thoroughly." Peter and Tara exchanged a smile, knowing that their actions had opened the door to a new era of interstellar diplomacy. As they prepared for the return to Earth, however, a new alert sounded from their long-range sensors. Agent Collins's voice was tense as he reported, "Multiple unidentified vessels approaching from deep space. They don't match any known configurations." Peter and Tara shared a look of grit. Their mission, it seemed, was a long way to go. Peter and Tara shared a look of purpose as they processed the information from Agent Collins. The unknown vessels approaching from deep space presented a new challenge, one that would test the fledgling alliance between humans and Barzans. "We need to report this to Earth immediately," Peter said, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. "Admiral Zorn, we may need your assistance in case these new arrivals prove hostile." The Barzan commander nodded gravely. "We stand ready to aid our new allies. Let us hope diplomacy prevails, but we shall prepare for all eventualities." As they began their descent back to Earth, the spacecraft's communication systems crackled with urgent messages from ground control. The long-range sensors on Earth had also detected the approaching vessels, and the planet was on high alert. Upon landing, Peter and Tara were immediately whisked away to a high-security facility where world leaders and military officials had gathered. The room buzzed with nervous energy as they entered, all eyes turning to the human-Barzan duo who had just saved Earth from a potential disaster. General Hawkins, a stern-faced man with salt and pepper hair, stepped forward. "Commander Tucker, we need a full report on what happened up there, and we need to know everything you can tell us about these new arrivals." Peter nodded, his military training kicking in as he delivered a concise briefing on the space battle and the detection of the unknown vessels. Tara stood by his side, adding crucial details about Barzan technology and tactics that had proved instrumental in their victory. As the debriefing concluded, the Secretary General of the United Nations spoke up. "In light of these events, we've decided to establish an interstellar relations task force. Commander Tucker, given your experience and the trust you've built with our Barzan allies, We'd like you to lead this task force. Peter's eyes widened slightly, the weight of the responsibility settling on his shoulders. He glanced at Tara, who gave him an encouraging nod. I accept, Peter said firmly, but I request that Tara be appointed as the Barzan representative. Her knowledge and abilities have been invaluable, and we work well together. The room murmured in agreement, and Tara stepped forward. I am honored to accept this position. Together, we will prepare Earth for these new encounters and establish protocols for peaceful first contact. Over the next few weeks, Peter and Tara worked tirelessly to coordinate Earth's defenses and diplomatic strategies. They spent long hours poring over data, consulting with experts from various fields, and running simulations of potential first contact scenarios. During a rare moment of respite, Peter found Tara standing by a window, gazing at the stars. He joined her, their shoulders barely touching. Do you ever wonder what's out there? Tara asked softly. Even with all my people have seen, there's still so much unknown. Peter nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and trepidation. It's overwhelming sometimes, but I'm glad we're facing it together. Tara turned to him, her violet eyes shimmering in the dim light. As am I, Peter. You've become important to me. Their eyes locked, and Peter felt his heart race. He leaned in slowly, giving Tara time to pull away if she wanted. Instead, she met him halfway, their lips meeting in a soft, tender kiss. The moment was interrupted by an urgent alert from their communication devices. They reluctantly separated, both blushing slightly as they checked the message. We've received direct communication from the approaching alien races, Peter read aloud, his voice a mix of excitement and apprehension. They rushed to the command center, where a team of analysts was already working to decipher the messages. As the information became clear, Peter and Tara exchanged worried glances. 3 distinct races, Tara mused, each with their own agenda. Peter nodded, his mind racing with the implications. The Zephyrians want a scientific exchange, the Corax demand a test of our military prowess, and the Synaptans, they want access to our global data networks. As they discussed the potential risks and benefits of each request, a commotion outside the building caught their attention. Through the windows, they could see a growing crowd of protesters, many carrying signs with anti-alien slogans. Senator Blake, Peter muttered, recognizing the charismatic figure at the head of the protest. He's been stirring up resentment against the Barzan presence on Earth. Tara's expression hardened. And he's not alone. Some of my people are growing discontent with their treatment here. They feel undervalued. Peter took her hand, squeezing it gently. We'll find a way through this, Tara. We have to. As they turned back to the task at hand, a junior analyst approached them with a tablet, his face pale. Commander, Representative Tara, you need to see this. We've uncovered something in the Barzan slave ship's databanks. Peter took the tablet, his eyes widening as he read the report. This can't be right. It says, Earth has been visited by aliens before, multiple times throughout history. Tara leaned in, her breath catching as she scanned the information. It appears your people's evolution and historical events may have been influenced by these visitations. The implications of this discovery hung heavy in the air. Peter and Tara shared a look of understanding, knowing that this information could change everything. We can't release this to the public, not yet, Peter said firmly. Not with the current tensions and the approaching alien fleets. We need to focus on the immediate challenges. Tara nodded in agreement. We must prepare for our diplomatic mission. The fate of both our peoples depends on its success. As they boarded the advanced hybrid spacecraft that would take them to meet the alien fleets in neutral space, Peter and Tara stood side by side on the bridge. Their hands brushed against each other, a subtle gesture of support and affection. Ready? Peter asked, echoing his words from their first mission together. Tara's violet eyes met his, filled with willpower and trust. Always. The spacecraft's engines hummed to life, propelling them towards an uncertain future. As Earth grew smaller behind them, Peter and Tara knew that the true test of their alliance and their growing bond was just beginning. As their spacecraft approached the rendezvous point, Peter and Tara stood side by side on the bridge, their eyes fixed on the screen. The vastness of space stretched before them, a canvas of infinite black punctuated by pinpricks of starlight. Suddenly the void filled with an awe-inspiring sight. 3 distinct fleets materialized, each unique in design and radiating technology beyond human comprehension. The Zephyrian ships gleamed like polished silver, their hulls adorned with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and dance. The Corax vessels were angular and menacing, jam-packed with what appeared to be advanced weaponry. The Synapton fleet pulsed with an otherworldly energy, their ships resembling organic, almost living entities. Peter inhaled sharply, his hand unconsciously seeking Tara's. She squeezed it reassuringly, her violet eyes meeting his. "Remember," she said softly, "we represent not just Earth, but the potential for a new era of galactic cooperation." He nodded, squaring his shoulders. "Let's make history." The first meetings were tense affairs, held in neutral territory aboard a massive space station that had appeared seemingly from nowhere. Peter's diplomatic skills shone as he navigated the complex negotiations with each race. His ability to read body language and tone, even among these alien species, proved invaluable. Tara's insights bridged cultural gaps and misunderstandings. When the Zephyrian ambassador used a metaphor that left the human delegation baffled, she smoothly interpreted its meaning, preventing a potentially awkward misstep. Together, they secured agreements for limited cultural and technological exchanges. Peter emphasized Earth's eagerness to learn while carefully establishing boundaries to protect his planet's autonomy and safety. As they toured the Corax flagship, Peter's instincts tingled. The Corax captain's smile seemed forced, his gestures a touch too rehearsed. While examining a holographic display of the ship's propulsion system, Peter noticed a string of code that didn't match the rest. His military training kicked in, and he realized with a jolt what he was seeing, a hidden subroutine for weapons targeting. He caught Tara's eye, a silent message passing between them. She nodded imperceptibly and casually placed her hand on a nearby console. Using her energy manipulation abilities, she sent a pulse through the ship's systems, briefly disrupting their internal communications. In that moment of confusion, Peter grabbed Tara's arm. "We need to leave. Now!" They sprinted through the corridors, alarms blaring around them. Corax security forces converged, firing strange energy weapons that left scorch marks on the walls. Peter's combat training took over as he expertly disabled 2 guards, using their own momentum against them. Tara's Barzan abilities proved crucial. She created an energy shield that deflected incoming fire, allowing them to push forward. They reached a hangar bay, but found themselves cornered by a squad of heavily armed Corax soldiers. "Any ideas?" Peter asked, his back pressed against a bulkhead. Tara's eyes glowed with intensity. "Just one. Trust me." She grabbed Peter's hand and, channeling her energy, propelled them both across the hangar. They landed hard on the deck of a small shuttle. Peter scrambled to the controls, his fingers flying over the unfamiliar interface. "I hope you can fly this thing!" Tara shouted, deflecting another barrage of enemy fire. Peter grinned, despite the danger. "Watch me!" The shuttle roared to life, lurching forward and smashing through the hangar's energy barrier. They burst into open space, the Corax fleet looming behind them. As they raced back towards the Earthships, Peter opened a channel to all frequencies. "This is Commander Tucker. The Corax have hostile intent. Prepare for incoming attack." The response was immediate. The once peaceful gathering of ships erupted into chaos as the Corax launched a full-scale assault. Energy beams crisscrossed space, and explosions bloomed like deadly flowers among the stars. To Peter and Tara's surprise, the Zephyrian and Synapton fleets moved to protect the Earthships. A Zephyrian captain's face appeared on their shuttle's view screen. "Your integrity has impressed us, humans. We stand with you against this treachery." Peter nodded gratefully, then turned to Tara. "We need to end this quickly, before more lives are lost. Ideas?" Tara's eyes gleamed with drive. "The Corax command ship. If we can disable it, we might be able to force a surrender." "Agreed," Peter said, his hands tightening on the controls. "Let's do this." They streaked towards the massive Corax vessel, dodging fire from all sides. Peter's piloting skills were pushed to their limits as he wove through the chaos of battle. Tara used her abilities to strengthen their shields, the strain evident on her face. As they approached the command ship, a direct hit rocked their shuttle. Alarms blared, and Peter struggled with the controls. "We're losing power," he shouted over the noise. Tara moved to his side, placing her hands on the console. "I'll give you what I can," she said, channeling her energy into the failing systems. The shuttle limped towards an opening in the Korax ship's defenses. With a final burst of speed, they crashed into a hangar bay, skidding to a stop in a shower of sparks. Peter and Tara stumbled from the wreckage, surrounded by confused and angry Korax soldiers. They stood back to back, ready to fight their way out. "Any regrets?" Peter asked, his voice tight. Tara turned to face him, her violet eyes filled with emotion. "Just one," she said softly. Their lips met in a passionate kiss, the chaos of battle fading away for a precious moment. When they parted, both wore expressions of renewed drive. "Let's finish this," Peter said, a newfound fire in his eyes. They fought their way through the ship, their bond stronger than ever. Peter's combat skills and Tara's energy manipulation made them a formidable team. They reached the ship's control center, leaving a trail of disabled Korax soldiers in their wake. The Korax captain snarled as they burst in. "You cannot hope to stop us." Peter stepped forward, his voice steady. "We already have." Tara raised her hands, energy crackling between her fingers. With a burst of power, she interfaced directly with the ship's systems. Alarms blared as the weapon systems went offline across the entire Korax fleet. Peter opened a channel to all ships. "This is Commander Tucker. The Korax fleet has been neutralized. Stand down and prepare to surrender." As the realization of defeat settled over the Korax forces, Peter turned to Tara. She smiled wearily, exhausted but triumphant. "We did it," she said softly. Peter took her hand, his heart swelling with pride and love. "We're just getting started," he replied, gazing out at the stars that now held so much promise and so many new challenges for humanity's future among them.
If you finished this story, please subscribe and like the video. Then leave a comment that says, "I liked the story," and I will heart every single one of them. It really helps me. Thank you for your time.